Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today, we're going to be discussing religion and Christmas in Harry Potter, peeling back the layers to uncover if Christmas means the same thing in the magical world as it does in the Muggle world. We'll also be more broadly addressing the topic of religion in Wizarding Society, including its prevalence, diversification, and whether or not witches and wizards celebrate godlike figures. We're going to start with Christmas, then segue into religion. Let's get into it. Christmas time at Hogwarts meant that it was time for Hagrid and the other professors to outfit the Great Hall with Christmas decorations. 12 large decorated fir trees, mistletoe, and holly were among the decorations that Hagrid and the other professors helped put in the Great Hall for the Christmas holidays. On the surface, Christmas in Harry Potter appears to be celebrated very much the same way that it's celebrated in Muggle society, with eggnog, carols, lights, trees, presents, and Christmas feasts. Harry had never in all his life had such a Christmas dinner. 100 fat roast turkeys, mountains of roast and boiled potatoes, platters of chipolatas, tureens of buttered peas, silver boats of thick, rich gravy and cranberry sauce, and stacks of wizard crackers every few feet along the table. In fact, the emphasis placed on Christmas traditions in Harry Potter is so significant that the franchise, in some ways, has transcended the page, becoming immortalized in the real world as a story that's become synonymous with Christmas itself. As soon as the snowy season hits, it's inevitably time to hunker down in some blankets and throw on Harry Potter. But besides all of the warm jumpers, gingerbread houses, and Christmas pudding, what is the actual significance of Christmas in Harry Potter? Is Christmas in Harry Potter driven by religion, or is it a secular holiday? First, I'm going to take a look at what Christmas means to witches and wizards. Then, I'm going to dive into the role of religion in the wizarding world as a whole. From our perspective, pretty much everyone in Harry Potter seems to celebrate Christmas. If there was a character from another faith that celebrated some other form of winter holiday, you'd expect that Harry would have heard about it. But provided that Christmas was traditionally a religious holiday, and that seemingly everyone celebrates it in the story, does that mean everyone's a Christian? This is going to have a multi-part answer. The first thing I'd like to point out is that Christianity is mentioned in Harry Potter. The story is certainly not devoid of any religious references. For example, the Fat Friar, Hogwarts' ghost, was a wizard and part of the church who was executed when senior churchmen grew suspicious of his supernatural abilities, specifically his ability to cure pox by poking peasants with a stick, and his habit of pulling rabbits out of the communion cup. J.K. Rowling has also alluded to the fact that the books explore Christian themes of sacrifice and resurrection, specifically referencing the tombstones found in Godric's Hollow. To me, the religious parallels have always been obvious, Rowling said, but I never wanted to talk too openly about it because I thought it might show people who just wanted the story where we were going. At the end of her latest and final installment in the series, there are specific references to Christianity and themes of life, after death, and resurrection. At one point, Harry visits the grave of his parents and finds 2 biblical passages inscribed on 2 separate tombstones. They are very British books, so on a very practical note, Harry was going to find biblical quotations on tombstones, she said. But I think those 2 particular quotations he finds on the tombstones, they sum up, they almost epitomize the whole series. The tombstone for Harry's parents reads, "The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death." And Ariana Dumbledore's reads, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." These are Bible quotes on the tombstones of witches and wizards. Yes, Lily Potter and Kendra Dumbledore were Muggleborns, but their funerals were held by wizards in the wizarding world. The fact that there were religious citations on their graves is likely indicative of religious prevalence in wizarding society. However, it could also simply be wizards choosing to honor the known religions of the deceased. I could read into these quotes all day, but that's not the purpose of today's video. All I wanted to demonstrate is that there are obvious references to Christianity sprinkled throughout the story, which makes sense given that Rowling is in fact a Christian. With that said, it is highly likely that there are witches and wizards in Harry Potter who follow Christianity. Whether these beliefs were adopted from the Muggle world is anyone's guess, But given the proximity of these two coexisting worlds, it's not surprising that one would rub off on the other. Furthermore, plenty of Hogwarts students come from the Muggle world, which means they would bring their belief systems with them to Hogwarts. Supporting this is the fact that Easter, another religious holiday, is also celebrated in the Wizarding world. But does that mean Christianity is the only religion in Harry Potter? And does it mean that all Hogwarts students are Christians? Certainly not. What we have to remember about Christmas is that these days it's less a religious holiday and more just a cultural tradition, especially in Britain. Since the early 20th century, Christmas has become a secular holiday that's observed by Christians and non-Christians alike, devoid of any kind of Christian elements. Those who follow Christianity may celebrate Christmas the way it was intended to be celebrated, but for everyone else, it's more about what it has become culturally, a time to get together with family, exchange gifts, put up a tree, and sit around the fire. Okay, so Christianity is prevalent in Wizarding society, but what about the other religions? The first direct quote from Rowling on the religion of witches and wizards was in 2007, where she revealed that Hogwarts is a multi-faith school, never specifying what those faiths may or may not be. Following that, she responded to a tweet in 2014, where she confirmed that there was a Jewish Ravenclaw student by the name of Anthony Goldstein. And following that, we got the biggest piece of info on Wizarding religion yet, where she revealed that there is room for every religion belief system at Hogwarts other than Wiccans. To everyone asking whether their religion, belief, non-belief system is represented at Hogwarts, the only people I never imagine there are Wiccans. For those unfamiliar with Wicca, here's the definition from Encyclopedia Britannica. Wicca, the largest of the modern pagan or neo-pagan religions. Its followers, who are called Wiccans, typically identify as witches and draw inspiration largely from the pre-Christian religions of Europe. Having publicly emerged in England during the 1950s, Wicca is now found primarily in Western countries, and the number of Wiccans is probably in the low hundreds of thousands. Followers often use the pentagram or five-pointed star as the main symbol of their religion. I believe that by condemning Wiccans, Rowling is simply trying to further distance herself from them, namely due to the flack she gets for her story, and the magic in the story being an affront on Christianity. There are many references to witchcraft in the Bible, with almost all of them directly condemning it, and provided that one of the key thematic elements of Harry Potter is witchcraft, it has been unsurprisingly opposed by certain religious groups. For example, Deuteronomy 18:11-12 condemns anyone who casts spells or who is a medium or spiritist or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord, and because of these detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. And Exodus 22:18 states, "Do not allow a sorceress to live." J.K. Rowling has insisted that magic in Harry Potter is secular, a product of science and not religion. It does not depend on active intervention by a god or gods. This is consistent with her condemnation of Wicca, which believes magic to be spiritual in nature. Even though Wiccans use terms like wizard and witch, it is not the same as what's present in Harry Potter. Rowling spoke on this. It's a different concept of magic to the one laid out in the books, so I don't really see how they can coexist. However, regardless of Rowling's statements and reassurances that the magic is science-based, the books are still a no-go for many religious families. Hopefully, as time goes on, Rowling's comments on this topic will alleviate some of the fears experienced by religious groups and open up the story to more fans. Okay, so we've confirmed the prevalence of Christianity, and we've also confirmed that the only religious group excluded from Wizarding society are Wiccans. I mean, it makes perfect sense that there would be a plethora of wizards with varying religious beliefs present at Hogwarts, especially if we consider the fact that Muggle-born wizards have been around since Hogwarts was founded. But what evidence do we have of these other religions? If we hone in on Hogwarts in particular, it doesn't seem like being actively religious would be all that easy. There's no mention of students attending a church or school chapel on Sundays, and there's no mention of bar mitzvahs or Muslim students' prayer time. Perhaps these things are prevalent in the magical world, but merely excluded due to the fact that we are looking at the Wizarding world primarily through the lens of Harry. a muggle-raised boy with a fairly narrow perspective. And that's it for today's topic. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure.